Hi, second graders from Paragon Mills Elementary School. I hope you've enjoyed some of the videos that you've been seeing this week, and I've got another one for you. If you don't have the packet from April 20th through the 24th, if you will go and get it, because you're going to need it for what we're talking about today, and a pencil. While you're gone, I'm going to show some pictures of some famous Black Americans that really helped in the civil rights fight. We talked about these people in February, and let's see if you remember who they are. Here's the first one. That's right, Rosa Parks. How about this one? That's right, Ruby Bridges. And in case you're wondering, that's what Ruby Bridges looks as an adult, and that was a statue that was carved showing her as a child. And the last one is who we're going to be talking about today. This is a man that's in your packet. And of course, we know this is Martin Luther King Jr. In the packet, they will talk about him having a march with millions of people. This is a picture of his march in Washington with the millions of people. So as you can tell, we're going to be talking about civil rights today, which is what we were talking about back in February. So let's get started. I wrote it down and I made a mistake right here, so I know that. In case you don't have the paper, that way you can still follow along and get some of the skills that we're talking about and some of the knowledge. So here we go. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Every January, we celebrate the life of a great man, Martin Luther King Jr., who fought for civil rights. He believed all Americans should be treated fairly, no matter what their skin color. Dr. King was born in 1929 in Georgia. Since he was Black, he could not go to the same school as white children. Black Americans also had to use separate restrooms, restaurants, theaters, and swimming pools in some states. Dr. King thought this was wrong. He was a Christian minister who worked for equal rights for Black people. He helped lead peaceful protests to change those laws. It was a hard fight. Dr. King was attacked and arrested many times. But more and more Americans grew to understand that it was wrong to treat Black people differently from white people. In 1963, Dr. King led 250,000 people in a march to Washington, D.C. While there, Dr. King gave his famous I Have a Dream speech. He spoke about his hopes for America. He said people should be judged by their hearts, not by their skin color. His efforts helped bring about new laws to create equal rights for all Americans. The third Monday of January is a holiday to celebrate the life of Martin Luther King. We honor his courage in working to improve the lives of so many people. And yes, he was, as you remember from what we talked about. Okay, you need to turn to the page like this that is in your packet. So if you'll go ahead and do that while I get things ready. Alrighty. Now, the first thing we're going to do is a skill that you second graders will need to learn how to do for third grade testing, and that is to number your paragraphs. Okay? So, with your pencil, if you'll just number the paragraphs. 1, and remember, a paragraph is every word that is indented. That means going in. 2, 3. Oh, paper behind. 4, 5, and 6. So we have 6 paragraphs in this article. Okay, now let's look at the questions. Here we go. Number 1. What did Martin Luther King believe? And I know that you're tempted to just read one and do an answer. But the key to remember when you've got multiple choice is to read all of them before you make your decision. So let's read all of them. A, all Americans should be treated fairly. B, black children should be able to go to the same schools as white children. C, people should not be judged by the color of their skins. And D, all of the above. Okay, think about what you did. Maybe some of you have already circled the correct answer. Is it A, B, C, or D? If you said D, you are correct. Okay. Number 2. When do we celebrate Martin Luther King Day? Now, this is where you need to go back and look in your paragraph to make sure you find the information. And what my students had to do was underline it. So let's look back. I'll give you a hint. It is in the paragraphs 4, 5, and 6. So when do we celebrate Martin Luther King Day? Is it in paragraph 4? No. Is it in paragraph 5? No. Is it in paragraph 6? Yes. So this is where you need to underline it. And it is the first sentence. So please underline the first sentence. The third Monday of January is a holiday to celebrate the life of Martin Luther King. So I'll give you a few seconds to highlight that or underline. Okay, let's go back to our questions now. When do we celebrate Martin Luther King Day? Well, you don't have to write that whole sentence. There's certainly not enough room for that. So all you need to do is to write down the third Monday of January. But the nice thing is, if you have underlined it, then you won't be misspelling any of the words that you need to use. Third Monday, and you'll remember to put the capital letters too, of January. There we go. And a few seconds for you to give you a chance to write that down. Okay. Number 3. And the nice thing is, since you've already underlined it, if you haven't written the whole thing, you can always go back after the video and fill in what you've missed. Number 3. In the third paragraph, the author writes, he helped lead peaceful protests to change those unfair laws. And which paragraph was it? The third paragraph. That's why you had to number your paragraphs. So now you can go back and look at the third paragraph. So here we go. Flip it over. Okay. See where the number 3 is? That's why we put those numbers there, so that you could find it. So let's read paragraph 3 again. And it says, Dr. King thought this was wrong. He was a Christian minister who worked for equal rights for black people. He helped lead peaceful protests to change those laws. And I think since we've discussed a lot during the month of February what protests are and what peaceful protests, did he like people fighting and using guns? No, he didn't like to do that at all. So let's look back at the questions now that we've reread paragraph 3 and see which answer would go with this. So it says, what is a protest? A special type of speech? Yes or no? Think. B, a way of showing you disagree. C, a dream about people. D, a law that is not fair. So if you think very careful, it's certainly not a speech. He wasn't talking and he wasn't dreaming. So we know those can't be right. And was a protest a law? No, that's what he was trying to change. So we know it's not that. So the only answer that would go with it would be B. A way of showing you disagree. And yes, he disagreed with the laws that were there, and he did it peacefully. And that was a way of showing it through the protests. Okay. Here we go, number 4. Where and when was Martin Luther King born? Well, once again, that's why you've got the article here. And you flip back. I will have you give you a hint. It is in paragraph 2. Look at paragraph 2. Where was he born and when? Well, if you look at the first sentence in there, Dr. King was born, that's the key word we were looking for, in 1929 in Georgia. So we were looking for the word born, and it's in 1929 in Georgia. So go ahead and underline that. Again, if you underline it, that way you can find it in order to write it down on the line. And now we're flipping back to the questions. Here we go. So, as we said, in 1929 in Georgia. Be sure you put a capital letter on Georgia because it is a state, just like Tennessee. There we go. And here's our last one. The question is, what type of article is this? And you have 4 choices. Now this is where you've got to remember what you've been taught in previous years to know what the different types of articles are. So let's look at our choices. A, fiction. B, fantasy. C, biography. D, fable. Okay, so think, which ones could they be? The nice thing about when you have A, B, C, or D, you can usually mark off some real fast because you know it's not right. So, is it A, fiction? No, remember fiction is made up. B, fantasy? No. A lot of the Dr. Seuss books are fantasy, of course, as well as Walt Disney books. Biography? Could be. I'm not sure about what a biography is. So I'm going to look at my last one. D, fable. Remember, a fable is teaching a lesson. So is this article teaching us a lesson? Not really. It was teaching us about Dr. Martin Luther King, but it wasn't teaching us a lesson. So that it couldn't be the answer either. So it has to be a biography. And that is correct. Remember, a biography is an article about a real person. That's what a biography is. Okay. So today, so far, you've learned all about, or actually reviewed, I guess you could say, about Martin Luther King Jr. Now, the last part of my lesson is seeing if you can think of rhyming words to go with a particular word. So let me get this down if you don't mind. You can just turn to the back of one of your papers, doesn't matter. Okay. So we know that all those people we were talking about today, we're talking about civil rights. And civil rights are things that all people should have a right to, such as going to whatever restaurant you want, free speech, being able to speak what you want, to go wherever you would like to go. So today, the phonics lesson is going to be on the word right. So what I would like for you to do is see if you can give, or write down rather, some words that rhyme with right. So remember, if they rhyme with right, there's all going to have I-G-H-T in them. So, and let me give you one little hint. Actually, two hints, sorry. One is, in order to think of rhyming words, think of the alphabet and go through the alphabet. A, no, won't have. B, bite. No, bite, it does rhyme with it, but it's not spelled with I-G-H-T. C, kite. Yeah, it rhymes, but it doesn't have I-G-H-T. C. D, dite. No. E, no, vowels won't go. H, height. It rhymes, but it's not spelled with I-G-H-T. G, let's see. I forgot one. E, F, fight. So I went to A, B, C, D, E, F, fight. So you can write I-G-H-T on there and go through the alphabet. F, G, gite, no. H, height, no, it's not spelled right. I, no, I already got an I. J, jite, real word, nah. J, K, kite. Well, it rhymes. Remember, kite spelled K-I-T-E. L, light. Yeah, that's one. Now, I'm going to give you about 30 seconds, maybe not quite that long, to see how many you can write on your own. Also, remember that you can use blends to add more words. And remember, a blend is where you have two letters that are put together, S-L, sl. You hear two sounds. So remember about the blends, and let's see if you can give a few words that rhyme with right. Go. Did you think of some? Well, a little while ago, I made a list to see if I could think of some. And let's see if you've got some of the same ones that I do. Sorry for the, where you can't see it real well. Because, oh, there we go. Maybe if I go like that, guys. All righty, here we go. Might. Oh, I bet this one will bring another one up. What? Night. Sorry, not neat. That's not good handwriting, I know. R, right. Like this is my right hand. Sight, where you see. And what you always want your shoestrings to be, tight. so you don't fall out of your shoes. Now I'm going to get some blends in here now. Halloween, we have what? Fright. That's right. And if it's just a little bit wrong, it's slightly wrong. And my last one, I know there's probably more, but these are just enough to get us started, is flight. And there we go. So let's see if you can say the words that rhyme with right. Right, fight, light, might, night, right, sight, tight, fright, slight, and flight, like an airplane flight. Okay. To finish up our lessons today, you all have a word search, just like that. Now, I don't know if you're like my students were, but my students just loved these word searches. Let's see if it'll stick up here. Yeah, there it was. Now, I know it's kind of small for you to see, but first word I found was African American. And I will show you, it is right here. African American. And then I just check it off. So this is a fun way of practicing how words are spelled and seeing if you can find them the way they are. Remember to get your packet each week, because we'll be making videos each week for you wonderful Paragon Mills second graders. Hope you've enjoyed the lesson and that you've learned some things. See you next week. Bye.